How's it going, everyone? Check out this Shaman. Isn't this the coolest shit? This is my S90V Shaman sprint run. This is from the original sprint run back quite a few years ago now. They had carbon fiber scales. I swapped those out. Even though they're really good, they're just really slippery. For these Aramis, kind of hard to see on the camera, but these are called the dark matter scales. These are purple dark matter. It's kind of subtle, which I kind of like that it's subtle. But swirly marble carbon fiber. This is my favorite Shaman I own. My favorite Shaman I've ever handled. It's just really good all around. It's very solid. However, I do like factory hardware. I am a huge proponent of using steel hardware because it's harder and it's made for the knife specifically. However, it's not as cool sometimes as titanium hardware. So in this case, we're going to swap this one out with this Rips Garage Tech titanium hardware, bronze. It's full set, stop pin, six body screws, and 3 clip screws. So we're going to swap that out and see how it is. The thing about this knife, I have some pretty high standards to meet. So this knife is dialed in really well right now. Hopefully it remains that way when we switch the hardware to titanium. So let's give it a second here and get some people in. Let me get this pinned to the top of the group. It's weird doing this. I can see myself. There we go. Alrighty. So when we're doing scale swaps or hardware swaps or working on a knife, you're going to want to work on a rubber mat or at least a towel or something that'll keep screws from running away, keep this stationary from moving around or scratching up your desk or whatever. So get a rubber mat. Next, you're going to need good tools. So I recommend, everyone recommends Weehaw, but I specifically recommend the full-size Weehaw drivers, the soft touch drivers. It's called the 36291 set. You get them from T6 to T15. They're what you want. This is the best set of drivers you can get for a knife. It's made in Germany, super high quality, has all the bit sizes you need, and it's way easier to have individual drivers when you're switching screw sizes than changing stupid bits out on those stubby things. Those stubby things are a pain in the butt. To work on that close to the knife, I have them. They're my travel things. This is the one you want if you are buying a stubby one, is the Boker one. It's got the right bit sizes. But this is a pain to work on that close. This is nice to travel with. It's an emergency thing. But if you're working on in your office, you have all the space. 36291 Weehaw Torx driver set's what you want. Well, what's up, Balake? Thanks for joining me again. I'm excited for you to get your LASIK. That's going to be rad. I don't know how bad your eyesight is. I don't know how the numbers relate to bad eyesight. I had not horrible eyesight, but obviously glasses all the time, and now I have 20/20 vision. It's pretty rad. It's not as good as it was when I very first got it, like 6-7 years ago, or maybe I'm just used to it. But it is very rad being able to see without glasses. Okay, when we do a scale swap or a hardware swap, first thing we do is we open the knife because we're going to be taking the scale off. And if you have the knife closed, the spring's compressed and it'll shoot off and just cause problems. So the cool thing about working on a Shaman compared to a PM2 is the Shaman doesn't have standoff posts. So on most knives, or on PM2s, the standoff posts can spin, and it's hard to get both sides off sometimes unless you use a pliers wrench or 2 screwdrivers. But on this one, there's a backspacer. So we're going to start there with our T8, and we're going to take the backspacer screws out. They come right out because this is nice, been taken apart before. there is Loctite. Make sure you're using good drivers. They can break it loose. Okay, so we got the vise screws out. Now we're going to take out the pivot, the T10. And take the scale off, set to the side. Take the liner out, which can be kind of snug because it's kind of stuck on the stop pin. When you take the liner out, there's a couple things to pay attention to. One is if the stop pin is stuck in it, so you don't lose it. But so the stop pin pulled out with this liner instead of the other side. So remember to take that out. If you have problems taking it out, use a pliers wrench, something with, see, that was almost bad. So take it out, put it aside, pay attention to it. Also, look where your washer is. Sometimes the washer will be stuck to the liner. Sometimes it'll be stuck to the blade. You're going to want to take that off and put it to the side because that's something you're going to want to pay attention to. Ooh, it's really not coming off very easy. Take the blade off. Okay. Okay, so the blade to the side. Okay, now we just have this side of the knife. There's one thing I want to inspect. Okay, so now we're going to take the clip off with the T6. 3 screws. Shaman's clip is unique to the Shaman. So if you buy a Shaman clip, you either need to buy a 2-screw clip, because the 2-screw clips like MXG makes will fit the Shaman, all of them, or you need to buy a Shaman specific clip. And I think most of those are pretty ugly because they're really big and weird looking. Honestly, I kind of like the sleeker 2-screw clips on the Shaman. But honestly, I just used factory clip because it works great and it looks good. Oops, screwdriver. Back to the side, T8. We're going to take the back spacer out now. Okay, back spacer out. Pivot, using a T10. This side of the pivot. The reason that we work on the presentation side first is because how this pivot is made. There's a D-shaped hole here on the pivot that keeps the D-shaped side of the pivot. It's very subtle, but there's a flat spot on part of the pivot barrel that keeps it from spinning. It's called a captured pivot. That is why it's important to do that very last, because it keeps everything together and from going out of place. And it's also the first thing we put in when we put it back together because of that. We're going to pull the pivot out, set the washer to the side, the other one. Okay, now we're down to nothing. That's it. Fully disassembled, right? Hey, Jordan. Thanks for joining us. Love it when you watch every day. It makes me excited to do this. Having returning viewers. Okay, so we're going to take clip side first. Put the liner in. First step, we're gonna improve this knife, and by that we're gonna polish the washers. This is not a necessary step, but it's not a bad idea to do it. You're gonna take the washer and you're gonna look for the side that's got little rings around it. That's the side the blade has been rubbing on and burnishing. So we want to keep that side. That's the side that's like broken in. When you say broken in, that's because that side's polished. So we're gonna speed the process up. And we're going to polish it on a strop. So we're just going to take it on a strop and rub it around for like 5-10 seconds. And what you end up with is a very shiny piece of phosphorus bronze that we'll put on the hole of the pivot with the shiny side up. We will take our pivot and we will look for the D-shaped side that's flat. I know you can't see it on camera, but this is not the same as the other side. This side has to go into the clip side and it needs to go in first. So we're going to drop it down and we're going to spin until it clicks and it drops down to the hole. And it will sit very firmly. And then we're going to take our pivot screw, which is a T10. We're going to put that in. And now we're going to take the back spacer. This part's kind of clunky and awkward to do, but you're going to take the back spacer. You're going to take the screw and shove it through first so you can line up where the hole is. It's kind of, you have to line it up. It's kind of a pain. Let's see if we got it. There we go. You're going to take a T8, tighten that. Gotta get that. There it is. So just kind of move it around until it lines up and clicks in place. Okay, now we're going to take our stop pin. Oh, what am I doing? I'm putting the wrong hardware on. Why isn't anyone stopping me? Why is no one stopping me? We're putting the RIPS hardware on. We're not putting steel hardware back in. Boo. I was wondering why this was so boring. Okay, starting with the pivot. Let's check out this RIPS hardware. Let's pour it out. Okay, so RIPS hardware is matte titanium. It's very high quality. If someone could, or I will, tag Steve Riplinger Jr. if he wants to see this, but RIPS Garage Check hardware. My first set I did on a pair of 3 turned out phenomenal. It fixed the knife. The knife had problems, and now it's better. I don't expect that to happen on this knife. This knife was dialed from the start. So if this is dialed when we're done, that's a big accomplishment, because it's hard for aftermarket hardware to get precise enough to really make your knife feel like it was factory hardware, honestly. So first thing first, we got our T10 pivot screw. I'm interested to see what this color combo looks like. Oh, that's right. On RIPS hardware, everything is a T8. So the pivot screw in Sonic T10, it's a T8. Ooh, it's silky smooth screwing in. Ooh, this is going to be cool. Okay. Now let's take our backspacer. Get one of the little... It looks like he made these screws different even. They're really cool looking. They have, like, instead of being little round button head screws, he squared them up. So the body screws are really cool looking. And they're flat headed. This is the Shaman kit, right? Shaman titanium screw set. Yep. Okay. Let's see how this works. The screws look quite a bit different than the factory screws. Yeah, I guess they fit. They're very, very... the factory screws are kind of... look small in the opening. These ones are completely flush looking. Like, it looks like a pivot on a PM2. It's like flush, which is kind of neat. So he's got a... There's your excuse to buy them. If you want something that looks different other than just the color, these are T8s. They're very precisely made. And this one's not going in all the way. That can't be right. Yeah, it's the right screw. Okay, we'll have to come back and check these out. It's like the screws aren't going all the way in to the backspacer. I'm not afraid to crank them. Okay, that one's in now. This one's just got a lot of resistance. Okay, they're tight. They fit very snug. So I'm getting this one in as far as possible. And when it's in as far as possible, because it's on a chamfer, so he's made these basically the right size. So there's just the tiniest bit, and I could probably screw a little bit tighter, but they don't stick out of the chamfer. Next up, we're going to put our stop pin in. We got a visitor here. We got my daughter Kinsey behind me. Just opened the door. So I'm sure she's going to cause chaos momentarily. So next stop. Hey, Kinsey. What's up?
I don't want Mega Blocks.
You don't want what? Mega Blocks? Okay, what do you want?
I want... Talk about... No.
You ready?
Yeah?
Okay. Next, we're going to take a drop of Gunning Glide and put it on the washer. And I don't know what she is saying. Can you watch that?
Yeah.
Okay, go into the kitchen. Okay, run. Okay, we put a drop of gunny glide on there. We'll take our blade, put it in.
Dad,
Yes, Kenza?
I want.
You want to watch? Okay. So next we're going to put a blade in. Go back to the gunny glide, put a drop of oil where the washer is going to go. Now we're going to take our strop again, do the other washer, polish it up. Some people think that polishing the washers is like the only thing you need to do to dial in the action on a knife. It's just a nice to have. It's not even necessary because the blade burnishes the washer over time anyway. I don't know. Okay, washer down. Now we're going to take our liner. And this is where the Shaman is a little harder than some other knives because there's a stop pin and we have this lock that's got to sit here. Sometimes it's hard to shove the stop pin in there because it's like rubbing against the lock. So we'll try and see how well it goes in. Ooh. Okay, so we have to line the pivot up and the stop pin up and make it go down. There we go. We got it. Took a little bit of pressure. Sometimes Shamans are hard to close up, and the reason is because of how the lock is. So make sure the blade's open. You push down, make sure the stop pin sits, and now we're good. We're going to take the other scale, take our pivot, again, T8. This is looking really good. I really like this hardware color. Now, the test will be if we can dial it in, because that's sounds like a small task, but it's a pretty important thing, and it's not everything always works out the best on titanium hardware. We're trying to find the hole. There we go. These screws feel like not oversized, but they feel very tight. So like when you screw them, it feels like they're stopping, but it's still going. It just feels like there's so much pressure you're about to stop. They're just very tightly machined. So they sit without needing lock stick. Okay. Wow, these are dope. I can close it up. Get this. Okay, now we're going to go through and adjust the body screws, get them as tight as possible. Okay, that's probably as tight as it will go. There we go. And this is what our hardware looks like now. Okay, let's put our clip on. The clip screws he also changed to a T8, so the clip screws are nice and beefy. So all the screws in this kit are T8 screws. Okay, and last screw of the set. And now comes the fun part, dialing it in, seeing how, make sure it has no lock stick. Titanium, so my biggest concern on titanium hardware is it usually causes lock stick. It just does. It's kind of inevitable. But my last rip set had none. So if this is the same, I'm going to be really happy. Whoa. I don't even have to adjust it. No way. Has zero blade play. Zero blade play. All the screws are 100% tight, and it is absolutely money dialed in. No way. Can get any tighter? That's incredible. This hardware is very good. It's really cool looking. I like these flat screws in the back instead of the little button heads. It's got bugle head flat screws like a PM2. It's nice, got a nice little edge on it. Now it's got really cool hardware. And the hardware, it just works. It's dialed in. I don't even have to adjust it. Flicks and flops, just like you like. It's as good as it was, and it was perfect before, and it's perfect now. So I'm going to take these screws before I forget about it. Keep that sticker out and give it away to somebody with a knife sharpening. It's handy to have stickers on hand for. I like to send them out with customer knives when I sharpen stuff. It's a good way to get rid of them, and most people dig it. I just don't use stickers. Okay, those put away. Well, that's it. There's our hardware swap. It turned out perfect. I was worried we were going to be doing a lot of loosening the pivot and loosening the body screws and fucking around with it to get this to sit. But it doesn't need to be adjusted. They're fully tightened. No Loctite needed or desired. I don't even think you could use Loctite because these are so tight in there. It feels like you're going to stop, but it just keeps on going. Let's make sure they're all the way there. Okay. Don't want to stick. Even the little T8 receiver on the screw is like super precise. It feels like the T8 fits perfectly in there. There's no slop. It's almost hard to pull it out. Yeah, I'm impressed. These are a really good hardware set. They're not cheap, but they're definitely, if you're in the market for titanium hardware, this is probably my recommendation now. These are great. Let's see what we got in the comments now. Hey, Tom, I have had my S30V Shaman for 3 years or so, and I love it. My detent ball seized a few years ago and has been flattening ever since. Still, no, that's all right. I mean, detent ball seized. I don't quite. Yeah, I don't know if they move. I didn't know if they moved. I thought they were just stuck in there. It's been flattening ever since. It's still smooth. Don't worry about it. If it works, it works. And if it wears out, send it in for warranty repair. So, yeah, if it works, don't worry about it. There's a lot of things on Spydercos that sometimes you might think like, oh, that's iffy. But if it works, leave it alone. It's not bothering anyone. You don't have to look at it. I'm really digging this. I didn't know how this hardware was going to look with these color scales, but it looks killer. We have a mirror on this thing, and it's actually sharp. Dialed in Shaman. There we go. All right. Well, that's about it for this. I'm going to cut this video off. Thank you all for joining me. That was cool. I'm really excited with my new hardware. This is like a brand new knife to me now. And I'm not scared it's going to back out. I'm not scared it's going to strip. It's just great, great quality. The anodizing is very rich, colored. Yeah, these are rad. So pick up a set of Riffs hardware. You won't regret it. See ya.